All right, so we started this process a long time ago, aka Monday, with one line outside of a circle. That line's called the tangent. Then the next day, we started with one line inside the circle. Chord. Then yesterday, we put two chords in a circle and called that an inscribed angle. Now, something to note that is very important. This angle starts outside the circle or on the edge of the circle. It goes to the edge of the circle and it goes to the other edge. So all 3 points are on the edge of the circle. Okay? Today, we're looking at an angle that looks like this. Okay? Now it looks like an X in the circle rather than a V in the circle. So in this scenario, instead of having one arc, it's really two. It's this arc and this arc that it's describing. All right? The vertex of the angles is inside the circle.
So they're vertical?
Yeah, they will always, the angle and the inside, this angle and this angle will always be equal to each other, as well as this angle and this angle will always be equal to each other. So, that is one scenario. The other one looks like this. Well, I'm going to leave that there. What if that one? So the black vertex is inside the circle. The red vertex is outside the circle. So those are the only two types of math we're going to do today. So I'll show you how complicated it is, and it's not really that bad. We'll draw an angle inside the circle, and I'll give you guys two different arc measurements. We'll call this one is 60, and this one is 100. So both of those arcs will be given to you. Hey, this arc is 60. Hey, this arc is 100. And it's going to ask you to solve for x. Well, x is in both locations. So it doesn't really matter which one you're solving for. They're both the same thing. Now that looks like a plus sign. Right? It looks like a plus sign, like a really janky plus sign. So that's going to help you remember to add the two arcs together. X is equal to 1/2 of 60 plus 100. So that's when you add them and half them. When the x, the vertex, is inside the circle, it's half the sum. So 60 plus 100 is 160. And half of 160 is 80 degrees. That means x is 80. That's pretty much it. When the angle is inside the circle, add them and half them. Now, if this angle is 80, how big is that one?
100.
100. Because look, how many degrees are in a straight line?
180.
So 180 make 180 and make a straight line. Okay? Now, the other scenario is the vertex is outside. We'll use the exact same numbers. We had a 100-degree arc and we had a 60-degree arc. So, does that look like a plus sign?
No.
So, now we're going to do the exact same math, but subtract. X is equal to 1/2 of 100 minus 60. So, when the angle's on the outside, you subtract. When the angle's on the inside, you add them together. X is equal to 1/2 of 100 minus 60, or 1/2 of 40. And 40 divided by 2 is 20. So using the same arc measurements, we get a different angle. There's really no way to see the number and make a relationship. They're just mathematically the same thing. So I gave you guys all these fantastic formulas on your page. Here's the first one. Notice that the vertex is inside the circle. It looks like a plus sign, so we're going to use 1/2 the sum of the angles. Sum, adding them together. Now, on the other scenario, the vertex is outside the circle. The vertex is outside the circle. No matter what it looks like, it's still 1/2 the difference of the two arcs. So when the angle's on the outside, you subtract. When the angle's on the inside, you add them together. Cool? Nothing left to it but to do it. Here we go. Ready? Go through a couple examples. I skipped a few of these because I don't like them. But not this one. We're trying to find x. Now, is that angles inside or angle outside? Inside, so we're going to
Divide by 2.
add them together. X is equal to 1/2 of the sum. We're going to add them together. So we add them together and then we cut it in half. And then half of 186 is 93. X equals 93. So this angle is 93 and this angle is 93. Now, in a crazy world far, far away, I could also ask you guys to solve for that angle right there. The 93 and the missing angle should add up to 180. So this one's 87. And then again, the same vertical angle logic, 87. So no matter which way you look at it, 93 and 87 make 180. 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 So all the way around it works. Then it's 360 all the way around the inside of the circle. A lot of fun. Okay? Uh-oh. So we have a 20-degree arc right here. We have a 28-degree arc right here. And we're trying to... Can we solve for x right now?
No.
We can solve for this one. That missing angle. You see the difference why we can't solve for x? It's the x is not inside the bow tie. So we solved for this angle. It's inside the bow tie. Now on this problem, it's not. So we can't solve for x because it's outside over here. So we have to solve for something right there. We can solve for that. It's fine. We can say that the question mark angle is equal to 1/2 of 20 plus 28. If we add those two arcs together, 20 and 28, we got to add those two together. So the question mark angle is equal to 1/2 of 48, or the question mark angle is equal to 24. So this angle is 24, and that angle is 24. Yes, sir. So the 24 and the x should add up to 180, so I can subtract those and 156. So x is 156. That's the answer that we're looking for. Where does this rank on the level of fun and interest?
Easy.
We had an angle like this, 24 degrees, and x was right here. So those two have to add up to 180. So I did 180 minus 24, and I got 156. Okay. So we have an arc measurement right here that we're looking for. We have an arc measurement right here. That kind of creates our little bow tie. So this number is on the outside, 139 is on the outside, but I can create a number that's on the inside by doing the same math we just talked about. If I do 180 minus 139, That means that there's 41 degrees inside the bow tie. Now, our math said that that angle in the middle, the angle in the middle is 41, is equal to 1/2 of both arcs added together, 40 plus x. So now our x has moved to the other side. X, or 1/2 of x plus 40 should equal 41. So the x has moved. Let's go back and look at the last one just to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. This one was 1/2 of 20 plus 28 equals the angle on the inside. Well, now our x is over here where the 20 is. Still the same math. 1/2 of x and 40 should equal the angle on the inside, the 41. So what would you do here first to figure that out? No, don't do that. Just go ahead and get rid of the 2, the 1/2. Multiply all of this by 2. And multiply all of this by 2. So now this 1/2 and this 2 cancel each other out. So 2 times 41 is 82. And 82 is now equal to 40 plus x. Subtract 40 from both sides. And you get 42 is equal to x. So that means that this arc right here is 42 degrees. Cool? Okay. Be careful. Where is the vertex? Now it's outside the circle. So to solve for this angle right here, I have to add 1/2 of this one and this one. But do I add them together or subtract them now? So x is equal to 1/2 90 minus 20 because the angle's on the outside. I have to subtract them now. So 90 minus 20 is 70, and I do 1/2 of 70 to get that x on the outside. So this angle right here is 35 degrees. Okay, the only difference now is instead of adding together, we're subtracting because it's the vertex angle on the outside of the circle. Oh. We're trying to find this right here. We don't have another arc. So how long is this arc right here? 240. So is there some way that we can figure out how big that arc right there is? So if the blue arc is 240, I can do 360 minus 240. That means that the red arc is 120. Okay? The red arc is 120. So now because the vertex angle is outside the circle, I need to do 1/2 the difference of those two angles. Minus. So now I need to take those two arcs and subtract them. So 240 minus 120 is 120. Then I need to find half of that. $60 degrees. Okay, but that's because it's two tangent lines. All right, so remember what we've been doing. Angle measurement, angle measurement, angle measurement, angle measurement. And now we're going to shift gears just a little bit. Skip, skip. Now we're going to get to the last part. So this is back on the first page of your assignment. Now the last thing we can do is the length of the line in the circle. The length of the line. So, 3 different scenarios. We have an angle on the inside, we have an angle on the outside, and we have a tangent line. So this is the chords, secants, and a secant and a tangent. This equation says that A times B equals C times D. So if you multiply these pieces of the red line, it should be equal to the product of these pieces of the blue line. I'm saying a lot of math words right now, you're not getting it. I get it, right? This one's a little different because it's 2 secant lines. It's the first part times the whole thing equals the first part times the whole thing. All right, and the same thing with case 3. This one is the first part times the whole thing equals the first part times the whole thing. So these formulas are here. They're on your paper. You can go back and check them. But let's try it. Okay, we're trying to look for how long is that line Y. Is that angle inside or outside? Inside. So when the angle's on the inside, we're going to do 2 times 15. That's the first part times the second part should be equal to Y times 5. Okay? That's taking the first part of the vertical line times the second part of the vertical line, and the first part of the diagonal line times the second part of the diagonal line. Then you just multiply. 2 times 15 is 30. Y times 5 is 5y. Divide both sides by 5. And y equals 6. So if you take both numbers from both lines, what's 6 times 5? 30. And what's 2 times 15? 30. So they're equal when you multiply them out. Alright? Looks just like what the question on your quiz looks like. It gives you a question like this, and it wants to know how big is Z. So what 2 numbers are you going to multiply together? 4 times Z is equal to, what's it equal to? 3 times 8. Okay, the first part times the second part is equal to the first part times the second part. So multiply 4 and Z together and multiply 3 and 8. Okay, divide by the number next to the variable. And Z equals 6. Fun, right? Okay. This one's a little different. Now where's the angle? The angle's on the outside. So when we do this one, I'm going to try and color coordinate it. It's 5 times the whole line. How long is the whole line? How long is the whole line? If this finger's 5 inches long and this finger's 7 inches long, how do I figure out how long both of my fingers are? You add them together. Okay? So I'm gonna write it like this: at 5 times 7 plus 5. Okay? And that should be equal to this piece how long is that whole purple line? No. If this piece is 4 inches long and this piece is y inches long, how long are both fingers together? 4 plus y. So we're doing the outside part times the whole line equals the outside part times the whole line. So I can simplify a little bit. What is 7 plus 5? 12. So I need to multiply. What is 5 times 12? 60. Now on this side I have to do 4 times 4, 16, plus 4 times y, 4y. So subtract 16 from both sides. 44 equals 4y. Divide both sides by 4. Y equals 11. Yes, sir.
Why is there an X in front of the green 4?
Well, it's 5 times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was worried about that. So 5 times that quantity. So now you can kind of look at it. 4 times 15 is 60, and 5 times 12 is 60. This is a tough one. But here's the last one we're going to do, number 15. So this is one where you have a secant and a tangent. So to do the same thing, you do this piece times the whole thing. 8 times 8. This piece times the whole thing. 4 plus z. So it's both pieces. It's 4 and z, or 4 plus z. So this is one where we have a tangent and a secant. We have 64 on the left and 16 plus 4z on the right. Subtract 16 from both sides. Divide both sides by 4. You get 12 equals z. Not terrible, right? But I think having your notes and having the formula on these notes will really help you tomorrow. I only want you to do this. Number 1 through 6 and number 9. 7 questions. I'm picking all of your homework up tomorrow. All of it. All 4 papers. Whether it's going to be 1 grade or 4 grades, I have not made up my mind yet. So it's either 1 grade per day, 1 month for Monday, 1 for Tuesday, 1 for Wednesday, 1 for Thursday, or 1 grade for the week. Still weighing my options. This will be the last grade you guys have. So take time and work on stuff. This is on the internet, so you can always go back and watch the magic